Good morning, Janice. How are you? It is a little early this morning, isn't it? Okay, let's give everybody a minute here to jump on. I know that I'm just a tad early. Okay, I just got notification I'm on live, so that's a good thing. Very good thing. This morning, we've got something really fun in mind for you. Hi, Linda. Welcome. Good morning. Um, we had kind of, Susie, it's good to see you. We had kind of a late night here last night for those of you who were with me. Last night, my husband didn't make it home, but not till about 3 o'clock this morning. So if I'm a little sketchy this morning, you'll know I didn't get enough sleep. But that's okay. Regina, my friend, good morning. Jenny's here from the UK, and it's 4 p.m. there, I think. I think I've got it right. No, it would be 2 p.m. there. I'm sorry. Patsy from New Mexico. Kay, good morning from Vermont. You are under a heat wave advisory today, Susie. It has been warm, hasn't it? Linda, good morning. Southeast Michigan, Michigander, love it. Okay, Jenny, 2 p.m. All right. I'm getting it. I really am. I'm getting better. MW, good morning. I'm so glad that so many of you from last night are here again this morning. Christina from Sweden, it's nice to have you back. And Diane from Massachusetts. Well, like last night, I am here. I do not have anybody to do my moderation for me, so I will do my best. Okay, I promised you I will try to keep a close eye on questions. Matt, Hilda, good morning from Australia. Teresa from Utah. We've got just about every state and hopefully a lot of countries definitely represented this morning. So what we're going to be doing this morning is we're going to take a look at the Artisan Sampler 5-piece template set. Why is it a good idea to buy a sampler set? You know, I kind of asked myself that question on more than one occasion. And let me show you why it's a good idea. Our sampler sets come in many different styles. Okay, and I'm going to show you here. And sometimes I go, well, geez, that's a nice one, but I probably would never use it. So one of the things that I came up with this, and I've got an extra template in here, so that's why I am struggling to get these out. And there you go. You can see I have two of the same one here. So I'm going to set that one off to the side. And look at there. That is one big circle, isn't it? But the best for last, the square. That's the one I thought I would never, ever use. I didn't really want it. But after playing with it this week, getting ready for this morning, I'm finding out that I'm really liking this and I am going to definitely get some more of them. Oh goodness, we have more people who have joined us. Faye from Perth, Donna's here from North Carolina, Mahia's here from Melbourne, Sylvia from California, Jill, good morning. It's raining. Oh my gosh, we got it yesterday, but hopefully we're going to be clear today. Okay, so this is the one, the square. I thought to myself, why would I buy this? I would never use it. I can't really, in my mind's eye, see how it would be interesting. I'm gonna show you this morning. It is interesting. So this is the 2-inch square that comes in the set. Then we have our circle number 7, which is a 3-inch circle. Now we have done the circles already. So I'm gonna just kinda set this one off to the side since we do have a video on that. The next one that I picked up, which I thought was really cool, is an iris. And that again was one that I kinda, okay, it's pretty and all, but I don't know how I could, really use it. So I'm finding out I can. And of course, the marquee. This is a very pretty design that we can do a whole lot with. So let's go ahead and I'm going to get this out of the way first. And the next thing I'm going to show you is one that we're going to look at using the square. I found a couple different ways to use the square. This one I thought turned out so awesome. And as I'm looking at this thinking, what can I do with it? We can template it, we can color it. It would be cool to have different colors. For example, yellow and blue, then this would obviously be green. So there's a lot of different things that we can do with this. We could also template it by going with 2 layers. So you could have this portion have 1 layer of template, uh, reveal fabric, and then maybe in these smaller areas have 2 layers or a second layer of template. Good morning, Carol. Okay, Susie, that's awesome. We do kind of wonder sometimes. It's nice to be able to try before we buy, right? Mary Lou is here from Western New York. My husband is from Western New York, Mary Lou. Marcia from Ohio. Carol Whaley's here. Janice, good morning. We have Oklahoma represented by Rushing Sandy Carla. And Diane Morris bought the set and loves them. That makes me very happy to hear that. So here is another one. Trying to get this so you can see it well. And this is nothing more than just going up the holes that we're going to use. So let's take a look at this. The artisan samplers are meant to be used with a pin, on a pin, okay? Judy's here, Gail's here, New Jersey, and 100 Mile House, British Columbia. Awesome. Judy loves this set too. That just makes me happy. I love when I hear that. I haven't shown this to you in quite some time, so I'm just going to review setting the tack in. What I like to do is push it in from the right side first, and what that does is it pushes those little fibers away off to the side, and it gives us an air sorry, I need caffeine. A mark to shoot for on the back. Now, you see that I'm struggling with this? I have a feeling that maybe it's because I've got my batting in upside down. Is there a right and a wrong side? Absolutely, there is. If you can feel the little bumps, that is the wrong side, and you want that pointing down. And the reason we do is because it's going to make it much easier for our needle to poke through. Okay, let's see where we're at here. Yeah, I've gotta try this again. This is just not cooperating this morning. Okay, so let's poke that through again. Okay, there we go. We did it this time. Alrighty. See how many times I can drop the tack, right? This should be named Kathy the Klutz. Okay, and we're gonna go straight through, and when we bring this back, we should be exactly where we need to be in the center of our square. And if you have to fudge it just a hair, don't worry, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so there we go. Who would have thought we'd have this much trouble getting a tack in this time of the morning? There we go. Now we're in the center. Okay, push that down a little bit. Now, sometimes too, when I'm working with bigger projects, I like to put just a piece of painter's tape on the back where my tack is. And the reason that I do that, and it just fell out, the reason that I do that is so that I don't get that tack caught on the edge of my table. Doesn't happen often, but it has been known to happen. Okay, there we go. I apologize, guys. This should not be this difficult. Batting. Batting sometimes can make a difference. What I like to use for wall hangings and the such is 2 layers of batting. And the way I do that is I use 1 layer of 80/20, and then I use a second layer of wool. The reason being is the 80/20 keeps everything nice and smooth and strong, and the wool gives me a beautiful loft. So, there we go. Hi, Linda, you're here. Awesome. Welcome. Omaha. Susan is in Omaha and Diane from Alberta. Good morning, everyone. So good to see you all here. So let's take a look at our 2-inch square. We're going to do the easy one first. And I'm going to start by pretending this is reference line 1. I do pretend with reference lines a lot, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and set our pin on 13 inches. What does that mean? When I set that pin on 13 inches, what that means is from the pin to the outside of our template is going to be half of 13 inches. Or 6.5 inches. So when we come down to this other side on here, the whole rotations, the whole design is going to be 13 inches from edge to edge. Okay, I'm going to start at the bottom. Let's go ahead and pull our thread up. I am doing this on a 16-point crosshair. That's kind of my standard. That's usually where I start. The reason that I do that when I'm doing these blocks and I'm practicing, I don't have to then take it out and put more lines on. It's okay not to use some lines, and you're practicing anyway, and these do come off. I've done these lines with my chalk liner and my ultimate pounce powder, which will iron right off. You have to be cognizant of ghost shadows, and to avoid that, what I like to do is I like to use a spray starch or starch alternative, and I put that on the top fabric before I even start, sometimes a couple layers depending on how dark my fabric is. Darker fabric seems to want to make ghost shadows a little more prevalent. So what I will do is let it dry between layers, put a couple on. Now, if the ghost shadow still presents itself, what you can do, and it works quite nicely, is just wash it. It washes right out. So there we have our square. Isn't this awesome? Now I'm thinking to myself, I need to get this whole set because I love the squares. We really don't have a square template. So I plan on talking to Stacy about that because I think that there's an awful lot that we can do. So I'm going to turn this around. Now all I'm going to do is pick it up and come down a half an inch. This is where these numbers are real handy, okay? We just had 13. We put our pin on the 13 mark. Now we're putting our pin on the 12 and a half. So these are half-inch increments. Now, it doesn't look like it's a half an inch from pin to hole to pinhole. It's not. It's actually only a quarter of an inch because you have to remember we're going a quarter of an inch on this side and a quarter of an inch on the opposite side, right here. So that's why these are at a quarter inch, but measure out to a half an inch when we're finished. Okay, now I'm going to make sure I'm lined up. I'm going to free motion this. You can free motion this. This is only a quarter of an inch. I know you guys can do this. It's not difficult at all. Take your time. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the left and I'm going to come back to center. Now I'm going to go up to the right and we're going to come back to the center. Now all of these, and these could be chevrons too, that we're making here are going to be double stitched. So for consistency, if you would like, please feel free to go ahead and double stitch this first square. It will help to keep everything consistent. And I think you've probably heard me use the word consistent before. Now, it does not matter which side we use first. We can go up on the left every time, we could go up on the right every time, or we can alternate them. The fact is, having two lines of stitching is not going to be like traveling over a half a circle, okay? They are all going to be the same. So I'm going to come back to center, put my needle down. Now I'm going to move the template down. I'm moving it a quarter of an inch each time. And we're going to go ahead and do, there we go, coming back to that center. Isn't this cool? I just love it. You know, it reminds me of something else I've seen in my life, but I'm not really sure. Okay, up we're going to go. And then we're going to come right back down. And we're going to stop. Now, I could go on with this. I could go on and on and on with it, but I will not bore you with that. But I am going to go ahead and take my template off. I'm going to put my gate right back in. Those of you who are getting new ones, I do believe that these templates have the needle channel. Good morning. Do you use the wool on top? Susie asked. Yes, I do use it on top. Okay, so I see that we have someone in here who does not belong in here, so we're going to get that person out. That's the first time that's happened to me. Okay, there we go. Okay, Mike and Mary and Mike from Buena Park, California. Welcome, Sue. Welcome from Australia. 11 p.m. there. You stayed up late to see me. I feel very honored. I appreciate that. Rachel is from Brown's Quilts and Sewing Fabric Shop in southern Oklahoma. Welcome, Rachel. Kathy is here. And she is from New York. Jenny, thank you. Jenny reported them also. Okay, I appreciate. Isn't there an oval in that set too? Actually, Linda asked that question. Good morning, Debbie. Not in this set. I'm not really sure why, but what we have in this set, and it does not list it. Let's take a look, okay? What I see is this is the circle, the iris. Yes, there is an oval. I don't know where my oval is. Thank you, Linda. There is an oval, but mine seems to be missing. Jenny said she believes it's in the second set, and that could be. When I look at the number I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I only have 4, so I am missing 1. Not sure where it's gone to. I'll have to find it. So thank you for bringing that up, Linda. I appreciate that. Okie dokie. So what we've got here isn't that cute? I love that. So now what I want to do is I want to move over here and come back down here. The question is, how am I going to get there? Okay, this is not hard. The way I'm going to get there is I'm going to put my template back on, of course. That's the first step. And then I am going to figure out how much of a V I want to put and where exactly it's going to fit. And I want it there. Right here, I think. No, that's not where it's going to fit. It's got to come down, not up. There we go. Perfect. It's going to fit on the 9-inch. Now, you see what I did there? I didn't have those numbers marked down on my paper like I usually do. So I just played with the placement. Patsy, good morning from Oklahoma. Well, thank you so much. Patsy said she's learned a lot of new ideas from me. I appreciate that. This is why I do this. I just love doing this and sharing all of the knowledge that I have. Might not be a lot, but I do share what I have. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down and I'm going to come back up until I hit this reference line. Okay, so this makes it quite easy. I don't even need to use my spacing gauge. So I'm going to come down, stop, make sure I take a extra stitch right here in that spot because it is a, a point and we want to make sure. Okay, so now what I've got is I've gone ahead and I have my joining piece. So I'm going to bring myself back up and to the 11.5-inch, and I'm going to put in 3 lines of stitching, just like we did. We're just going in from the bottom of the design up to the top. And we're going to do this 3 times. We're gonna go ahead. You can free motion this, and what you're going to where you're going to stop is when you see that this foot is touching the outside of that stitching. So we're going to go ahead and put ourselves up. If you came up a little too far, which I did by maybe a half a stitch, no worries. Just go ahead and stitch back down that half a stitch. And then off we go again. This really is a fun design, and it's definitely not hard. And I just ran out of bobbin thread. I expected that to happen last night. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change that bobbin thread real quick here. I have another one standing by. And you can see just how quickly we can change it. What I do with my practice pieces is I use up half empty bobbins or bobbins with color that I don't plan on using in the near future. And that gives me more useful bobbins. Because all in all, and you all know this because Ken has not failed to mention it, I am cheap. I prefer to call it frugal, but he calls it cheap. So he and I have discussions over spending money in different ways, but that's okay because we all have our priorities, and it's good. Whatever it is good. The way I spend money on fabric, he doesn't, but that's okay. And I don't consider myself a fabric hoarder. I consider myself a fabric liberator. I liberate fabrics from sitting on quilt shop shelves getting stale. There we go. Let's go back. And then we're going to come back down again. And we're just going to continue to do this. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry, guys. We're going to continue until we get our 3 lines here. I'm going to do that real quick. Get that out of the way. And you'll see how quickly this goes. And we're going to go up 1 more 1/4 inch. And now we're going to go ahead and put our entire square in. I think of all of them that I played around with this week, this is my favorite. And like I said, I'm definitely going to be buying the whole set. There we go. And take this off. What do you all think? Isn't that cool? I'm just so pleased with how that turned out. Rachel, I like that. Rachel says she's not a fabric hoarder either. She's a liberator. Awesome. Lori, good morning. Fabric liberators. A silver dollar. So nice to see you. Yeah, Linda, isn't that just the coolest design to go all the way around with? Okay, I'm running a little later than I had hoped. So let's just take a look here at some other designs that we did. Now, this one that I'm going to show you next. And you guys know that I draw all of these out before I start stitching. And Let me see if I can make this a little easier for you to see. There we go. She who dies with the most fabric wins, says Donna. I agree with you. Okay, so what I did here was I used 2 different templates, okay? The circle we're not gonna put on, that looks to me it was a good idea, but in the end, it kinda looked dorky, in my opinion. Okay, I think if I had a smaller one that I could have circles all the way around here, I like using my, circles, in between circles, it would probably be a design that I liked much better. But this is how we learn, right? I just out of curiosity, I'd like to hear how many of you draw out your designs before you do them. Okay, so the 2 templates I'm going to use on this one is the marquee and the iris, and this is a 3 by 3, and this is the 1.5 by 3 marquee. The iris is a 3 by 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and I love the secondary designs that happened. Now, when I'm just going to add this on, guys, this is actually not part of what I had planned this morning, but that's okay. When I am doing my drawing out, what I do is I write down up here what template I used, the order in which I used them, and where I placed them. This way, when you go back to do it, you won't be like, I have learned the hard way. How did I do that again? I do like to keep these papers because you just never know when you're going to be looking for that design that you did 6 months ago and you go, "I don't really remember how it went." So what I do with them is I fold these up and I put them in the file folder where I keep my, templates, and I know you all have seen that, file folder my file folders. Okay, so you can use an echo disc to make smaller. Yes, you can, Jenny. Absolutely. The echo discs are wonderful for that. Debbie said she learned the process in my class. Well, thank you, Debbie. That's awesome. So we have a lot of people who draw them out first. And I really am glad to hear that because it does help. Good idea for filing with the templates. Thank you, Linda. Yeah, it just helps because sometimes my brain doesn't remember all the way back. And that's one of the reasons that I write this down. Sadly for me, I probably don't remember overnight. But anyway, I digress. So let's go ahead and try that one. Now, I am going to start with my marquee. And according to the directions that I have here, we're going to pretend now that this is number 1. I put it on at 7 inches. Okay, so this is really, really very close. Now, what I want to do with this is I do not want to do the whole template. I don't want to do the whole rotation. What I'm going to do is I am going to go from this line to this line. So here's my line number 1. I'm going to start on line 16 and or actually I'm going to go backwards to go forwards. Okay. You're going to understand this in a minute. So what I want to do is go start on line number 2, come up on 1 and stop on 16. Then we're going to switch templates and come back around and end up on line 2. It will make sense. Okay, let's go ahead and put that in. And again, I'm starting on line 2, pulling my bobbin thread up and out of the way, I think. Okay, come on, you. Oh, I really have a bad problem with not cutting my bobbin thread when I'm done with the design. In a regular quilt, it doesn't matter because I always pull it up to the top and bury it. But when I'm practicing, I don't worry about that. Okay, again, this is the marquee 1.5 by 3. I'm starting on reference line 2, and I'm going to go backwards. Take my 1 stitch in place. My machine is not being cooperative this morning. Maybe it didn't get enough sleep either. Okay, so up we're gonna go. Remember, curved lines, keep those stitches just a little bit shorter. Okay, and down we're gonna go. And I'm going to stop on line 16, on reference line 16. Now I'm going to take this template off. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and I am going to trim that thread, check for peacock feather, Patsy said. I think that's a perfect way of putting it, a peacock feather. It is very different, but it's cool, I think. Okay, so here we go. We're going to put on our marquee, or I'm sorry, our iris, and we're going to put that at 9.5. So we're going to set that in at 9.5. I'm going to go ahead and put my gate back in. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around so that you can see it better. And get that one out of the way. Come in here. Okay, there we go. You'll notice too that when I put my tape on my gate, I try to keep it as close to the sewing surface that I can get. It just helps things stay a little more stable. So now what we're going to do is line that up. Whoops, I'm going to take my 1 stitch in place. There we go. And we're going to come around. Again, curves, shorter stitch. Take that hesitation up at the top of the template because we want to make sure that we get that point nice and pointy. Okay, and I'm off by about a half a stitch. Not going to worry about it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist my template and I'm going to stitch the second one in. And here we go. Now this one we're going to have to do some traveling on. Let's stop right here. Take this template off. And when we're drawing our designs, and this goes back on number 7, when we're drawing our designs, it's easy for us just to lift our pencil and go to the next spot that we want to go to. And what happens when we do that, sadly, is we forget about the traveling. So when you are working with your pencil and paper, try not to lift your pencil. Try to keep it on the paper so that you know where you need to travel. Okay, and off we go. Over to the other side. And this is the point that we're going to travel on. Remember, don't move your hands off of that template, and your traveling will be perfect. Down there. Okay, so now we're going to come. You'll see what I'm doing is I'm only changing my templates every other one. It just helps me stay from having to change them too often. I wasn't quite at the bottom right here, so I just wheeled myself over, line up my vertical line. Linda asked, so all the marquees first, then the iris? Actually, Mary, yes, it would. Jan Lewis, thank you so much. Linda, could I do a full rotation with each ruler instead of switching back and forth? Yes. The answer to that question is yes. Okay, so I'm going to show you what it's going to look like with a full rotation. Now remember, we still are going to have to do, whoops, I got caught there. That's the one thing about my 301. The pin sometimes gets caught. Okay, so we're going to come back here. Now we're still going to have to do a travel over to this side, okay? And in a minute, you're going to see exactly why. I'm going to stop on the line. Okay. Take this one off. And I suppose I could go, you know what? I could conceivably go all the way around with this. Back it up a little. There we go. I could go all the way around just with this template and then come back. Turn this a little bit here. Again, we're going to make the top heavier. And you can switch the top and the bottom if you prefer, no big deal. It's whichever way you like it. And we're going to come around. Again, I need to just go down a couple of stitches to make sure I'm lined up. And there we go. Okay, you'll see here's where this pin gets caught up. As far as I'm considered, it's the only downside to my 301. And come around. And going to come back to my reference line here. I'm going to stop and take off this template, and this is our 1.5 by 3-inch marquee. I'm going to go ahead and put the iris back on. Now this is going to give us a little bit of a different type of design doing the entire rotation, but that's okay. We need to put this one on at 9.5. And there we are. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to line myself up with my vertical crosshair. Here we go. Now we have, oh, I need to come up just another stitch or so. There we go. Okay, so now what we're going to have, if we want to do um, the entire rotation, which we can do. Yes, Mary and Mike, we're doing both ways. We're taking a look at it. Linda requested to do a full rotation with each ruler. Yes, Donna, I am using R&K embroidery tape to keep my gates in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to the right. I'm going to take that hesitation stitch up at the top. Now I'm going to stop at my next reference line to the right. Now we're going to go ahead and again, we may need to take a few stitches to adjust. No worries. And now we're going to again go to the right. And the reason that we need to take a few stitches is because the bottom of our template has a curve to it. And again, going to the right. Okay, so this is what we are going to look like when we do the entire rotation. I think that's what you were asking for, Linda. I'm not sure. But what we'll do is let's do this one again. Okay, so you can see both of them. And guess who dropped something? Yeah, me. I'm so good at that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to come in and let's get a fresh square. Okay, you wouldn't have changed. Okay. Yeah, Linda says, I would not have changed the design. And Donna said, I would not close the bottom of that iris. Yeah. Okay, Linda, I misunderstood the question. Okay. So this we all agree is what we don't want to do. I guess I'm kind of with you there. So let's go ahead and do this I'm going to take this other square and we're going to do the original one first. All I need to do is find my tack. Well, before I step on it, let's put it that way. Okay, it's here somewhere. Fortunately, I have a gazillion of them. So let's go ahead and put that tack in nice and straight. Boy, this is some really tough batting I used. Okay, and then we're going to flip it back and get that in. Well, this one went like a charm. Isn't that awesome? I like it when something works out. Okay, so back to the original design, and that is this one right here. I've got to tell you, this is my favorite. It really is, and I do plan on using that. I don't know on what yet, but I definitely am going to use it. So again, we're going to put this in at 7 inches. Okay. I'm going to just grab some. Donna, what a great idea. No, Mary and Mike, actually, it already fell out. MW brought up a great notice here. The iris looks like a Hershey's Kiss. And I do agree with you. You know, I have a magnet that I use when I'm canning to pick up my lids. I should bring it up and use it here when I'm not canning. That would be a great idea. I love it when you guys give me ideas like that. Keep them coming. I'm always happy to hear them. Okay, so back we're going to go. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to, whoops, I started on the wrong side. I want to start on the right side the first time. So I am starting again on line 2. There we go. And we're going to stitch around to reference line 16. Don't forget to hesitate at that at the top there. And I'm going to stop on line 16. So now let's do some exploring here, okay? How can we do this so we don't have to keep traveling? I'm going to go backwards. I'm now going to stitch from line 16 to line 14. Now you could do this by starting on line 16 and going to line 2 as well. Okay, so here we're going to go. I need to make a couple of adjustments here. Not a big deal. Well, there we go. And we're going to stop at that line. We're going to twist and come again. Now you could just go all the way around with this, and what you're going to have is a real pretty flower. I'm just going to do one more rotation here. I think maybe this is what Linda was asking for. Do all of one template, and look at how cute that is. We just figured something else. So the top of the marquee only when then the top of the iris. And thank you, Mary. That is exactly what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, Donna Banning asked a question. Very good question. These tutorials are a wonderful reference on using the templates. Are they going to stay online somewhere? Maybe your website permanently. Donna, they will stay on my 906 Quilting YouTube channel. I know that they stay on the So Steady So Steady YouTube channel. I don't know for how long. You know, that is a question I will ask and get back to you guys. Now, they're also on my 906 Quilting Facebook page, and they are on the So Steady Facebook page. I don't believe that they delete them off of those. I like going backwards to keep from having to travel, Jan says. And yes, you're right. I agree with you. Anytime you don't have to travel is a good day, right? Okay, so now we're going to take the iris. We're going to place it on at the 9.5 measurement. There we go. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to line up. Oh, you guys, you know what? Your questions made this a whole lot easier, I'm gonna tell you. Now we're gonna go around. There's our point. Take that extra stitch in place. I do love this design. I really do. And there we're going to end up at the bottom. Now we're going to twist our template. You see, by working things through more than one time and having more people thinking about it, we came up with this is so much easier. And we don't have to travel. Okay, here we go. And we're going to come down. And here we need, now if you'll see this, we need to fudge that one stitch. Don't worry about that. That's not a big deal. It really is not. We're going to come around. Now we're going to have to go back up here a stitch or so. There we go. Now we're right on where we need to be. And here goes our third rotation. You guys may notice I got off of my template just a little bit there, but that particular little bit right here is not enough to make me want to go back and do the whole thing over again. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to twist my template. Let me get it on this side so it's easier for you all to see. And off we go. And we're going to come up to the top, back around. We only have one more to go. And this ended up perfectly. You know, when I need to make those little adjustments now and again, I really think sometimes it's because I haven't marked it perfectly. Sometimes you're in a hurry and maybe you're holding the chocolate liner to one side or the other because you can do that. And it just happens. Don't worry about that. Just go ahead and make the adjustment. Because remember, in the end, we're going to be removing our reference lines. They're going to be gone. So what we don't want to worry about is if our point is off by a little bit. And let me take this off here and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. There it is. Isn't that cool? I just love this one. I really, really do. Okay, so what I'm talking about is if you see right here, I'm going to pull you in a little closer here. There we go. This point is not exactly on the line. Okay. Dresden plate. Donna says this is good for Dresden plate block. I think that's a great idea. Jill loves this. She could do this with her blossom and mini fill. You certainly can, Jill. Awesome. Okay, so back to this. When I am done, this line, you'll see, disappears. Okay? Now, you will not be able to tell me if it was on the line or not. So it's okay. Would you do something to the middle? Jan asked. You know, Jan, actually, I would. Because I believe there is no such thing as too much quilting on a block. Okay. So, what I would likely do is one of my spinifex on in the center because I absolutely love my spinifex. There we go. So I definitely would put something in here. Now, the other thing we could do is we could take our circles on quilts and do a circle in here and crosshatch. That would also look really pretty. You could even do a curved crosshatch to stay within the curviness of these lines, but yes, definitely would fill that in. I wish we had more time because we could do that. And this will be great in blocks. Janice, thank you. You are so right. How about circle with crosshatch? Debbie asked. I personally think that's a great idea, Debbie. Thank you. Awesome. Um, guys, we are out of time. Yes, Jenny, a Spinifex 10 and the blossom would work in the center as well. And wouldn't that be cool to see this coming out and just keep getting bigger and bigger? Susan, hello, welcome you. Glad you could make it. You and I were thinking perfectly in sync, Deb. I think that's awesome. Guys, I sincerely wish I had more time today. I just want you to know that I totally appreciate you coming. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I will, Linda. I will find my tag. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate your kind words. MW, always good to see you, dear. So please don't hesitate to go to our So Steady page, sosteady.com, and under instructors, you'll see my mug. Uh, it ain't great, but it's what all I've got to work with. But please feel free to leave a comment for me under the instructor page. I always like to hear from you. Don't forget you can get a hold of me. The instructor page has all of my contact information. You can call, text, message, whichever you prefer, okay? And I will get back to you. So until we meet again, Mary and Mike says, will morning sessions always be at 6 a.m.? Mary, more than likely, yes. And the reason being is that actually I have a class to teach in about a little less than an hour from now. So it would be really difficult for me to move it up unless I move it to a different day. We'll explore this because I really do want to make it convenient for everyone. And I realize that the West Coast, I'm catching you guys just coming out, you just getting out of bed. And on Tuesday night, I'm getting you guys just getting dinner ready. So I will go through times and see what I can do to make sure that we're convenient for everybody, because that really is my goal. Okay. I hope that helps. I'm doing the best I can. You know, Debbie, please send me the link for panel. Yes, I will do that, Debbie. I have to do it for everybody. I forgot to do it last night, so I'm glad you reminded me. So until we meet again, thank you again for being here, and let's quilt.